Hi, Sarah Wilder here again to continue part 21. This is 21B. We're going to talk about Jim's COVID. And although the previous year you've already heard has been horrible, it was literally one herpetic outbreak after another. 2022 is looking to be a real contender. The day before Valentine's Day, Jim tested positive for COVID. The 5 days before that, it just seemed like he had a really bad flu. Nothing unusual that I hadn't seen in him before. We'd been married at this point for 38 and a half years, and it just didn't seem like anything special. But one morning I woke up early and I found him sitting up in his chair, really high fever, sweating profusely, and in a completely altered awareness. I knew this is not right. So I got him into the car and I drove him to the nearby hospital. After he tested positive, they transported him to a hospital where our insurance would allow him to be admitted. So by ambulance, they moved him to a bigger facility in Orem, and I followed the ambulance down there. Jim fell into a few of the risk categories for COVID. He was over age 60, he was overweight, borderline obese, and he had diabetes. So, in addition to having pneumonia in both of his lungs and testing positive for COVID, the COVID virus had driven his blood sugar just through the roof, went from a normal of under 120 to over 344, diabetic ketoacidosis. He spent 4 days in the hospital, which I really felt like he needed longer, but because he was not immunized with the COVID vaccine, they absolutely treated him quite shabby, and me too for that matter, and they just wanted him out. It was appalling. I wouldn't even touch that political football. Okay, so I recruited our eldest daughter, Wendy, from Northern California to come visit because I just was not in any condition to manage Jim, how sick he was. She flew out from Shasta County, California. She was a very highly organized young woman. She was physically fully mobile, lots of energy, and she was educated in health administration. And it was wonderful to have Wendy there. We always had so much fun together. Okay, so as Jim pulled through the worst of COVID, I was growing stronger from having had infusions for the last 14 months. In March 2022, I began a fun part time job at the local Walmart, not too far from our house, 2, 3 miles away. I did a job called top stocking. Once I settled into a schedule that worked for me, it was under 20 hours a week. I just found so much enjoyment in doing this simple, repetitive work while chatting with customers and helping answer their questions. Subsequently, when the warehouse closed at Jim's job, which he missed the end of it because he was so sick with COVID, and in fact, he was on an oxygen machine for 2 months, basically on and off. I got him a job at Walmart. He didn't need me to get it for him. He had so many qualifications, but they do like to hire friends and family of current employees. So he got himself a job at the warehouse there, and they were thrilled to have him. So the tension that had been ever present in our marriage and in our home after the Montana trip 8 months earlier to get our wiener dog puppy Rosie had kind of faded into a background noise. It was no longer the full frontal warfare. And also, Jim seemed changed by his close call with COVID. We found that it was nice to carpool. We took our breaks together. We did a little gossiping about the people that work there because, face it, if you've ever worked for Walmart, that place just begs for a little gossip about coworkers. Nothing malignant, nothing malicious, just silly stuff. But I couldn't work as many hours as Jim wanted to. So it was a relief. My new Subaru came in a month early and we were able to split our schedules. He worked more hours working into full time, and I just kept it very part time. Because I only worked a few hours, I was able to take a solo trip out to California during Easter. Becca needed me to help with the grandkids while her husband was out of town at training. So, me and Dolly and Rosie, the two dogs, took my brand new car west to California for a solo trip. And I love that car. And I love road trips anyway. Begrudgingly, Jim stayed behind because he was brand new at Walmart and had to finish all those online boring computer training sessions. It's hours and hours of it. But this time around, he was more overt with his resentment. Every day I was out in California at Becca's, I got multiple times a day, I miss you, I love you, are you thinking of me? No, I wasn't, and I ignored every one of those texts. When I went out there, more and more, I loved being somewhere where I was loved and I was cherished. I didn't love Utah, and Jim certainly didn't cherish me. At least I had a fun little job to go back to. And when I got back home to that little job, Jim made a point of sulking and complaining that it was my choice not to invite him, that I preferred the company of our children and grandchildren over his. And you know what? He wasn't wrong. He wasn't wrong. Even so, I invited him to come along in a couple of months in mid June when there was another opportunity to do babysitting duty out in California. Okay, this is the end of part 21B. Join me for the next episode, the last one in this series, 21C, where we finish up this part. Thank you.